2020, he warned against optimistic COVID-19 vaccine timelines, arguing that rushing could cause problems. August 7, 2020, he said that the U.S. can be affected by COVID-19 for years and years, even after Americans are vaccinated. He was right again. He blamed the federal government for not taking sufficient action to contain the spread of virus. So from little I know, he does have a pretty solid track record. Right, then we've got another scientist, Angela Rasmussen, who essentially argues that if you're arguing for the lab leak, you're being racist, concluding that this deletion was to obscure these sequences or there was some other misconduct requires the reader to also assume that Chinese scientists are inherently untrustworthy. It relies on racist stereotypes. Right, I don't find that a strong argument. Alina Chan, Chinese government is not people of Chinese descent. Otherwise, can only predominantly white countries' governments be criticized without being racist? No kidding, but this doesn't invite us to criticize the government, and it's a known fact that the Chinese Communist Party suppresses info for reasons. This invites us to criticize the scientists and heavily implies it's because they aren't trustworthy. Where's the evidence they are not? There's no evidence that any misconduct occurred here. These claims rely on racist stereotypes. And then virologist claims Angela Rasmussen. So she's a virologist, right? She's part of circling the wagons against this outsider, Lena Chan. I never argued that you or other lab leak proponents should be silenced. Just that those with legitimate expertise call BS where they see it. And those with legitimate expertise are those who her crowd says have legitimate expertise. Right, Peter Jacobs thinks that something's insane, but Peter Jacobs has no expertise in this area. So who is Peter? Is Peter Jacobs? Okay, not a scientist, but he denounces the lab leak hypothesis. It's only because of people like Alina Chan that Fauci is now forced to admit that the lab leak theory is not a conspiracy. Then we have all these, ad hominem attacks by virologist Angela Rasmussen. Right, so Angela Rasmussen, virologist, says, LOL, we have a ragtag collection of internet randos with no subject matter expertise looking to be celebrated as citizen sleuths. There has since been a schism with a battle over the brand between factions with different motivations. They want attention or do they want money? So this is so typical of the contempt, the same sort of contempt that you heard in that journalistic expose of Pat McAfee. Again, Angela Rasmussen, a virologist, filled with contempt for those who propose lab leak. Alina Chan and Matt Ridley wrote a dumb book that was critically panned as one long treatise of just asking questions. Everything they say is in service of boosting sales of this odious attempt to equate science with sea lioning. I don't know what sea lioning is. I could go on and on. It's not about the individuals. It's about their collective purpose to attack the scientific process that hinders them from advancing their own agendas. Again, so like that journalistic critique of Pat McAfee, he didn't follow a journalistic process. This virologist is complaining that lab leak advocates are not following virology scientific process. So when you see demands, people provide a bunch of self-interested bad actors with carte blanche access to their emails and explain their thought process, see it for what it is, a naked attempt to exploit public data for personal gain. Right. So virologists don't want their emails revealed to the public. Right. They don't want extra scrutiny. They don't want to have their privileges reduced.